Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 2. I am Frank Cesadet coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuren. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari says global conference on tourism will enable Nigeria showcase its warm hospitality. President Buhari solicits global cooperation to avert food crisis. Plus, Kenya marks 59 years of self-rule. Details of the stories and more coming up in a moment. We'll begin our news this afternoon with a report that President Muhammadu Buhari has said that hosting the Global Conference on Tourism, Culture and Creative Industry in Nigeria will bring the country's leisure and business sectors in contact with potential investors. The president spoke during his visit to the headquarters of the United Nations World Tourism Organization, UNWTO, in Madrid, Spain, to assure the global community that Nigeria will deliver a world-class reception to participants at the upcoming global conference. President Buhari noted that the global conference will enable Nigeria to showcase its warm hospitality and world-class leisure industry to the rest of the world, adding that granting the conference hosting right to Nigeria was proof of the country's support for the organization, as well as an affirmation of the confidence UNWTO reposed in the country. Recall that the right to host the UNWTO first ever global conference on tourism, culture and creative industry was granted to Nigeria last month, and it will be held at the newly refurbished National Theatre in Igamu, Lagos. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has called for global cooperation to avert a looming food crisis as the war between Russia and Ukraine rages. The president made the call in Madrid, Spain, at the Royal Palace during an audience with King Felipe VI in continuation of his visit to the country. The king said Nigeria was an important country and looked forward to an opportunity to visit the country, especially against the background of stronger cooperation being forged by the two countries. President Buhari thanked the Spanish monarch and President Pedro Sanchez for the invitation and hospitality extended to him since his arrival, adding that his country looked forward to increasing bilateral relations between both nations. In a related development, President Muhammadu Buhari has signed at least 9 agreements and memoranda of understanding with the Spanish government in Madrid, Spain. According to a statement by Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, the agreements include treaty on mutual legal assistance in criminal matters, transfer of sentenced persons, extradition, economic and commercial cooperation, tourism, as well as sports, health, the fight against COVID-19, as well as science and innovation. In a meeting with his Spanish counterpart, President Pedro Sanchez, Buhari commended Sanchez for his leadership qualities and contributions to the war against terror in sub-Saharan Africa, especially in Mali. Meanwhile, President Sanchez has emphasized that as a major partner of Spain in Africa, Nigeria is a country that his people really want to have a stronger partnership with going forward, and commended Buhari for his leadership roles in Africa, especially in the area of strengthening of democratic ideals. Still from the presidency, President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed happiness over the appointment of Bishop Peter Opaleki of Equalobia Diocese, Anambra State, as a cardinal in the Catholic Church by Pope Francis. In a statement signed by Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity Garba Shehu, Buhari commended the Pope for finding a capable Nigerian in the person of Bishop Opaleki to be one of the 2 nominees from the African continent. According to Shehu, President Buhari, who congratulated the Nigerian Christian community on this choice, described the cardinal designate as ably qualified, adding that having him in that position will benefit the country. Reports say Bishop Opaleke is the 4th cardinal from Nigeria, joining Francis Arinze, Anthony Okogie, and John Onaikan stressing that he is among the 21 new cardinals Pope Francis announced. To the judiciary now, where a federal high court in Abuja has granted permission to the detained Deputy Commissioner of Police, the CP Kyari, to file more evidence against a suit by the federal government seeking to extradite him to the United States of America for trial on criminal charges. Justice Inyangeko granted Kyari's request made through his lead counsel, Nuruni Jimo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, in a motion on notice. The federal government counsel Pius Akuta, however, opposed the granting of the request, predicating his opposition on the ground that it was an attempt to cure deficiencies in the earlier documentary evidence adduced by the detained DCP. In a brief ruling, Justice Eko rejected the objection of the federal government and granted permission to Kyari to adduce further documentary exhibits to his own defense, noting that the court will have ample opportunity to determine the probate value to be attached to the additional evidence. Meanwhile, Justice Eko has fixed June 3rd for a definite hearing in the extradition suit instituted by the Attorney General of the Federation, AGF, on behalf of the federal government against Kyari. On education, the Universal Basic Education Commission has disclosed that it will construct 6 smart schools in the 6 geopolitical zones to the tune of 3.6 billion naira. This is disclosed in a statement signed by the UBEC's head of public relations, David Aphe, who noted that management of the commission have also commenced discrete efforts to ensure that the full implementation of the e-learning programs in basic education across the country, following the challenges as cushioned in the sub-sector by the COVID-19 pandemic. Aphe further explained that the capacity building for the different categories of stakeholders will include general training on ICT tools and facilities, adding that the training would cover all issues pertaining to the effective use of various ICT tools and facilities to enable the teachers to efficiently use them. In the meantime, members of the Nigeria Union of Pensioners have vowed to mobilize votes for any political aspirant who will uphold their interest. President of the union, Godwin Abumisi, who spoke to newsmen in Abuja, said the days when politicians would senior citizens for elective offices and ignored them and they applied after winning elections were over. Abumisi, who commended the efforts of the federal government through the Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate, PTAD, for its various efforts and operations, decried the non-compliance of some state governments in payment of members' entitlements and refusal of most to review the amount in line with the latest consequential adjustment of the pensions. He further appealed to the federal government to call on defaulting state governments to immediately set up a joint committee with the NUP state councils to address the outstanding entitlements. In the rerun up to the 2023 elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has expressed worry over the 20 million permanent voters' cards still lying unclaimed in its vault. INEC's Deputy Director of Voter Education, Mary Nkem, raised the concern at the launch of the PVC Bus Drive project organized by a non-governmental organization, the Advocacy for Civic Engagement in Abuja. Nkem, who noted that it is votes and not social media that will determine the winners of the 2023 general elections, stressed that previously printed PVCs uncollected are still available for collection by the owners at the INEC offices across the country. Still in politics, Rivers Governor Nyesom Wike has met with ex-Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and 2023 hopeful being the second in 48 hours. The former VP commented about the parley in a text statement syndicated on social media pages, adding that he was proud of the promises the spirit of solidarity holds for the party as a united front that guarantees victory in the next election to rescue the country. Recall that Atiku defeated Wike and others, among them ex-Senate President and governors, to clinch the People's Democratic Party (PDP) tickets last Saturday. However, Wike has reiterated his vow to support whoever emerges as the PDP presidential standard bearer. Back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Domi Manuel has denied making uncomplimentary remarks against any of the presidential aspirants in the just concluded PDP presidential primaries. Governor Emmanuel had an arrival in the state after the presidential primary election, granted an interview where he called on PDP faithful to support the presidential candidate of the party and described all the aspirants as competent to lead the country. But a section of the social media was reportedly awash with allegations that the governor made uncomplimentary remarks about all the aspirants in the race. Fielding questions from Government House correspondent at the Victor Otai International Airport on return from a brief official trip to Abuja, Governor Emmanuel denied ever making such malicious comment and called on security agencies to clamp down on those who perpetuated the mischief and falsehood using the social media. Governor Emmanuel said such acts of falsehood should not be tolerated and insisted that politics should not degenerate into character assassination for selfish political gain. Still in Akwa Ibom State, the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS South-South region have issued a 21-day ultimatum to the federal government to resolve its lingering issues with Academic Staff Union of Universities ASU, so students can return to school or face total shutdown of economic activities across the South-South states. The student body made the comment at the commencement of a region-wide protest which kick-started in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital. Addressing Nigerian students from the region during the protest, NAN's Public Relations Officer Utube Kandem said the body will continue with a planned peaceful protest across the region before waiting to see the federal government's reaction and deciding follow-up actions.
Is easily borrowed to fund what many will consider unfruitful ventures by the federal government, especially considering the millions currently exchanging hands within this electioneering period. The question on everyone's lips is, why is the federal government yet to grant ASU's demand for students to return to school? Activities were shut down along major federal government establishments and roads, including the Federal Secretariat along a back road in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State yesterday, June 1st, in a region-wide peaceful protest by the South-South body of the National Association of Nigerian Students. The students who locked and blocked the entrance of the Federal Secretariat said the peaceful protest was their way of sending a strong message to the President Buhari-led federal government to prioritize education, settle its issues with the striking ASU and relevant unions so students can go back to school. Recall that ASU have been on strike since February and have insisted they will not call off the industrial action until the federal government honors its agreement reached with the union, which borders on revitalization funding, payroll, amongst others. Francis Edit, Spectrum TV News.
To the African continent, where Kenya has celebrated 59 years of self-rule as thousands gathered at the Uhuru Gardens of Nairobi to mark Madaraka Day. Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta addressed the nation before a large crowd with dignitaries such as the first couple of the Republic of Sierra Leone, the diplomatic corps, VP William Ruto, and politician Raila Odinga in attendance. Reports say for his last ceremony in office, Kenyatta urged his people to consider stability when voting at the next general elections on the 9th of August 2022. Still in Africa, hundreds of Sudanese protesters have rallied in front of the United Nations mission in the capital, Khartoum, to call for its dismissal. The rallies came as the UN Security Council is considering extending the mission's mandate beyond June 3rd. Many accuse the envoy of interfering in Sudan's internal affairs. The UN mission, along with the African Union and regional bloc IGAD, has been pushing to facilitate Sudanese-led talks to resolve the crisis. Meanwhile, on Sunday, military leader Abdel Fattah al-Burhan lifted a state of emergency imposed since the coup to set the stage for meaningful dialogue that achieves stability for the transitional period. On the foreign scene, as the Shanghai government lifted its city-wide lockdown, skyscrapers lit up, roads filled with traffic, and young people drank and danced in the streets as fireworks boomed overhead in celebration. As of this morning, most of the city's 25 million residents are free to leave their communities as shops and office buildings reopen and subway and buses have resumed services. Reports say the process of reopening is likely to be slow as residents in the financial hub are still contending with the trauma of the past 2 months in enforcement of the government's zero-COVID policy, a measure which reportedly triggered waves of outcry, eroding public trust in the Shanghai government. Still on the foreign scene, the UK Defense Ministry has stated in a series of tweets on its Twitter account that Russian forces have sustained losses after taking control of most of Severodonetsk amid the ongoing war against Ukraine. According to UK, although Russia has taken control of most of Severodonetsk, the main road into the Ponket region likely remains under Ukrainian control, even as Russia continues to make steady local gains, enabled by a heavy concentration of artillery. Reports say it is likely Russia will need at least a short tactical pause to reset for post-river crossing and subsequent attacks further into the next oblast, where Ukrainian armed forces have prepared defensive positions. Recall that Russia and Ukraine have been fighting for over 3 months as of today, and many casualties have been recorded as a result of the conflict. Meanwhile, Britain will offer work visas to graduates from the world's best universities in an expansion of its post-Brexit immigration system that is designed to attract the best and brightest workers. The government said that under the scheme, graduates with a bachelor's or master's degree from the top 50 universities abroad can apply for a 2-year work visa and will be allowed to bring family members with them. Those who receive doctorates can apply for a 3-year visa. Reports say successful applicants will be able to switch to longer-term employment visas. Meanwhile, the most recent list of eligible universities from 2021 published online by the UK government comprises more than 24 US universities, as well as institutions in Canada, Japan, Germany, China, Singapore, France, and Sweden. In the meantime, no African university is on the latest eligible list. Still to come in the news, Yusuf vs Joshua 2 set for Jeddah Superdome. To stay with us. Much thanks for staying tuned. To business news now, where World Bank economists Jonathan Lane and Jacob Engel have said that rising inflation, persistent population growth, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the war in Ukraine are threatening Nigeria's poverty reduction aspiration. In a post published on the bank's blog, Lane and Jacob said Nigeria's aspiration to lift all of its people out of poverty by 2030 presents a serious challenge, adding that even before COVID-19, 4 in 10 Nigerians live below the national poverty line, amounting to 18 million people. Recall that in June last year, President Muhammadu Buhari inaugurated the National Steering Committee of the National Poverty Reduction with Growth Strategy chaired by the Vice President Yemi Osibanjo. This is said re-echoes his commitment to lifting 100 million Nigerians out of poverty in 10 years with a well-researched framework for implementation and funding. Meanwhile, according to new industry statistics from the Nigerian Communications Commission, about 6.18 million global system for mobile communication subscribers joined the national network between January and April this year. Also, the number of active telephone connections per 100 inhabitants within all areas in Nigeria increased to 105.65%, amounting to 201.67 million subscriptions in April. The NCC's industry statistics reveal that the number of active GSM subscribers increased from 195.13 million in December 2021 to 201.31 million in April 2022. Reports say this is the first time the number of recorded subscribers in the nation is crossing 200 million since December 2020, when there were 204.15 million GSM subscribers in the nation. To help now, where the World Health Organization says smoking tobacco is driving the tuberculosis epidemic, adding that in 2020 it was responsible for about 730,000 TB episodes. According to the global health body, individuals who smoke are more at risk of experiencing problems with their lungs even after successful completion of TB treatment. The UN Health Agency, WHO, disclosed this in a press statement, stressed that individuals who smoke along with people who are exposed to secondhand smoke are at higher risks of developing TB, adding that smoking tobacco slows down TB recovery and is also linked with poor treatment outcomes, including relapse of TB and death. Meanwhile, medical experts have recommended that specific punishment be outlined for persons who indulge in self-medication. Speaking with Newsman, Dr. Nuhu Sule, who made the recommendation in an interview with Newsman, said such a measure was desirable considering the devastating effect of self-medication. He observed that more people had imbibed the habit of taking medicines without subjecting themselves to proper diagnosis, hence the need for a law that will stipulate punishment to serve as deterrent. To sports now, where Cyril Dresser has bid Feyenoord farewell, saying he might return to the club someday, despite their failure to sign him permanently. The 27-year-old, who was on a season loan at Feyenoord, scored 20 goals and recorded 6 assists in 44 games for the Dutch club. In a video statement he posted on Twitter, Dresser, who thanked Feyenoord for the time, noted that he thoroughly enjoyed his time with the club and hinted he might be back to the club. Jen also confirmed that Dresser would be returning to the club after Feyenoord officially informed them that they would not be exercising the purchase option of $4 million for the Nigerian striker. Still in sport, Anthony Joshua's rematch with Alexandra Usyk is set to be staged at Jeddah Superdome, a record-breaking arena in Saudi Arabia. A date for Joshua's second world heavyweight title fight against Usyk is yet to be confirmed, but management at Jeddah Superdome confirmed it is preferred venue to host the blockbuster bout. On our entertainment scene, American actress Amber Heard has condemned the verdict reached by the jury in her defamation case with British actor and ex-husband Johnny Depp. Recall that Heard had countersued the Pirates of the Caribbean actor to the tune of $100 million after he filed a case against her for an article she wrote in 2018, a year after their divorce, where she tagged herself a public figure representing domestic abuse. According to Deb, while she did not mention his name in the article, it painted him as an abusive partner and consequently impacted his career negatively. After weeks of an intense trial riding on bitterly contested allegations of domestic abuse, a United States 7-member jury has awarded Deb $15 million in damages and found that Heard was defamed by a statement made by Deb's lawyer, Adam Waltman, who told the Daily Mail that her abuse claims were a hoax and awarded her $2 million in damages. Reacting to the verdict, the actress on her Instagram page expressed her disappointment in the eventual result of the case. Meanwhile, Jada Pinkett Smith briefly addressed the Oscars slap incident between her husband Will Smith and Chris Rock on Wednesday's episode of Red Table Talk. The interview, Pinkett, who noted that the Red Table Talk on alopecia was important, stressed that she was using the moment to give people with alopecia an opportunity to talk about what it is. The actress said she hopes Smith and Chris find the opportunity to reconcile their differences and move past the Oscar incident. Recall that actor Will Smith assaulted comedian Chris Rock at the Oscars over jokes he made on his wife's medical condition.
My deepest hope is that these two intelligent, capable men have an opportunity to heal, talk this out, and reconcile. Will and I are continuing to do what we have done for the last 28 years, and that's keep figuring out this thing called life together. State of the world today, we need them both, and we all actually need one another more than ever.
And that's all we have for you this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, Spectrumtv.ng. You've been watching Spectrum News at 2. I am Francis Edit. Enjoy the rest of your day.